screen right now. My name is Charles Gosset. I'm a life purpose coach. And Derek, it's just an honor to be with you and your parents tonight, caretakers and loved ones that have children or other family members who are in the throes of substance use disorder. I am one too. I'm a person in long-term recovery from alcoholism and some drug addiction, primarily alcohol. For me, that was my drug of choice. And I tried that unsuccessfully for 16 years. And so it's one of the things that I'm really glad that I failed at. And as a result of failing with alcohol, I got to find a new way to live. And because our time is limited, I don't want to talk a whole lot about myself. You'll find out more about my business, I think, in the links, or certainly the last slide, if that comes up for you. My business is called Full Integration Coaching. I'm based out of Edmond, and I'm a life purpose coach. What got me into life purpose coaching was really my journey through recovery. And I worked the 12 steps, had 2 residential stays at Valley Hope in Cushing, go Valley Hope. Lots of care, psychiatric institution, psychologists, psychiatrists, spent a night in jail for disorderly conduct. I had a suicide attempt in there as well when I was about 20. So I've tried a lot of ways to drink and to live life, but not on life's terms. And that's what Alcoholics Anonymous and treatment centers and psychologists, psychiatrists help me to be able to do. And one of the most important pieces in early recovery that I found as I started to get sober was, I had a desire to take care of myself. Maybe I'd wanted to do that in the past, but with alcoholism and when life starts to be overwhelming, at least for me, taking good care of myself got pushed further and further to the back burner. I was very overweight. I was obese, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, eating very unhealthy, getting very limited exercise, high blood pressure. And of course, before I stopped drinking, I was getting drunk on a regular basis. So not a great lifestyle. But once I got sober, I started caring more. And that's because I started recognizing some things about myself that were worth caring about. And that happened in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous with colleagues in treatment, friends and even family that stuck by me. And so I'm really grateful to all those people. I'm grateful to God who has given me the life that I live today. So that's my short story. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today, but I do want to let you know about me. I've walked that walk. As I got further into recovery, part of the 12-step program in Alcoholics Anonymous is you start sponsoring other people. And I had really great sponsorship out of Ponca City and Stillwater and also Oklahoma City. So I've got a lot of good A at the Harmony House. And had a sponsor and a grand sponsor and worked through all the steps and worked through all the traditions. And they took me around to different clubhouses and I started sharing my story pretty regularly. And then I started leading meetings and, going to meetings to share my story in other towns. And as I did that, people just naturally would come up and ask me to be their sponsor. That's how AA works. And as I did that, I found out something that I think a lot of you parents already know, and that is alcoholics are really difficult to live with. And, I found out from the other side of addiction what it's like to deal with the insanity of alcoholism and drug addiction from some individual on their own path to recovery. The lying, the cheating, the not showing up, the anger outbursts, really the pretending, all of these things that are indicative of addiction really started to drive me crazy as a sponsor of alcoholics. And that's when I started recognizing the need for Al-Anon and understanding what codependency was and how to unravel myself from the story of the alcoholic that I was trying to walk side by side with, instead of jumping into their life, walking alongside them, even as they struggle and lie and cheat and steal and do all the things that they do. So not tying their results to the way that I sponsored them. So I started learning how to do something called detach with love. And as I did more and more of that, I learned what it was like to be free from expectations, to still love another person who's suffering. And I've had friends and people that have died, and I've gone to their funerals. I've been to hospitals and psych wards and jails. And, it's not fun, but that's part of the journey. And some of them make it. But what I really learned more than anything was to take care of myself in all seasons, whether it's on the recovery from alcoholism side of things, or whether it's when I'm working with another alcoholic and addict. It's equally important that I take care of myself. And there are a few simple things that I've learned to do that I'd like to share with you. And of course, I've studied and done my homework since then. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. We're going to see if this works, okay? So I've got a short presentation for you. And we will attempt to get this started. All right, so Derek, can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's working great, Charles.
Okay, great. So the title of my talk is Save Your Sanity with Self-Care. Put on your own oxygen mask first. Put on your own oxygen mask first. And of course, that analogy comes from airplanes. And when you're given the instructions by the flight crew, or maybe it's now just on a piece of a handout on the video screen in the chair in front of you, given instructions for what to do in case of turbulence and loss of cabin pressure, you're instructed to do what? Put on your own oxygen mask first when they come down from the roof, and then you're to apply them and people around you. The reason being is that you cannot help another person if you don't have oxygen flowing to your brain when you're losing pressure like that. Very similar in your own life. It's very hard to keep functioning at an optimal level when you don't have the inner resources that you need in order to care for yourself, let alone a loved one. Okay, so it's the same principle at work here. And again, self-care is something that can help you with your sanity, help you, and we'll look at some of those benefits, help you to have more mental stability, better mental health, more emotional regulation, and better physical health, and just feel better about yourself as a result. So I shared my brief story with you, and this is me here, definitely drowning in a sea of alcohol. I did that for years and years, and it took me 5 years in a concerted effort to get sober. My wife is very loving, and until she had enough, which was also a loving action, she left with our 2 young girls. She had already been practicing Al-Anon and detachment with love, and her taking the actions that she needed to do to take care of herself and those kids, I attribute to that final help me to get sober and stay sober. So if that's the path you're on, parents, I encourage you to keep doing it. Keep taking care of yourself. Self-care, a very simple definition that I give, especially in this short talk, is taking responsibility for your own health and well-being in all areas of life. Okay, and it's not all at once. It's not all or nothing. We're looking for progress, not perfection here. I list out 5 domains of life or areas of life to look at. There are as many as 8, or there's even more in some models, but I like the simplicity of this model. So the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social areas or domains of life. It's taking responsibility for these aspects of your life, and maybe just a little bit at a time, and making some progress in those areas. And over time, trying to get all of them built into a self-care plan. Overall, self-care is about paying attention to your life and responding to what it needs. Self-care really is an intentional act. So often our focus is on our loved ones, on other people, places, and things. We want to be helpful, we want to be supportive. Sometimes we want to fix and we want to change others. But self-care is really about looking inward. It's about paying attention to what your brain is telling you, what your emotions are telling you, what your interests are telling you, what you enjoy doing, what the places you like to go, what's most meaningful to you, your relationships. So it's really looking at your whole life from an inside out point of view and responding to the areas of life that are asking for more attention. One really effective way to see how well we're practicing self-care is through something called lifestyle behaviors. Simply put, these are the habits and tendencies you have in daily life which affect your health and well-being, once again, in all of these domains of life. And I've got up a more extensive checklist, and you can look through that. And if you're watching live or on the recording, you might make a mental note or write some of these down. What the idea here is just to get a snapshot view of some of your own lifestyle behaviors. In the left-hand column, where this sort of red siren here is, this warning symbol, when you are under stress, do you? And you look through that list of behaviors, and you check yes or no. These are the negative self-care behaviors. These are the ways that are not best for you, have a healthy lifestyle and a good sense of well-being. Or on the other end, over here in the right-hand column, where the green check is, when you are under stress, do you do these things? Yes or no? And I'll just list a few of them. So on the left, when you're under stress, some negative things. Do you overuse over-the-counter medications? Be honest with yourself. You're not trying to prove anything to your spouse or your partner or your loved ones or your friends or family, and certainly not me. I have no judgment of what you're doing, but be honest with yourself. Do you spend too much? Do you watch too much television? That's easy to do in COVID times. I have a lot of screen time right now. Do you have angry outbursts or sad outbursts? Are your emotions more overwhelming than normal? Are you taking illegal drugs? Only you can know that. Do you ignore or deny stress symptoms? Oh, it's okay. I'll be fine, even though my heart rate's off the chart. Okay, so those are some of the negatives. Some of the positive, real briefly. Are you engaging in physical activity? I don't care as much about the numbers there that it lists, but are you doing that? Are you getting good sleep? Are you making time to relax? Parents, you deserve to make time for yourself to relax, to enjoy your life, and to enjoy one another. Okay, just because your loved one is suffering, I still wanted my parents to be happy, even though I was really suffering. And so I would say the same for you. You have every right and really the need to enjoy your life. Are you optimistic? Are you trying to be positive about life, even when it's hard? Are you making plans for the future? This is really looking at, do you have meaning and purpose in your life? It's pretty hard right now with COVID, and everything's changing, but are you trying to look to the future and make the best of it? And are you rewarding yourself for your accomplishments? Again, this is focusing on you and your relationship with yourself. So these lifestyle behaviors give you a snapshot into how well you may be practicing self-care. Especially if you have more on the negative side than you do on the positive, hey, guess what? That's good news, room for improvement. If you have a lot over here on the positive side, then you're in the zone, you're where you need to be, but you could still learn something new. I'm going to check my time real quick. Looks like we've got about 10 minutes. So a few of the benefits you can read for yourself of self-care. There are many. These are a few of the well-known ones. Self-care practiced over time on a consistent basis. These are some of the longer-term effects. Less stress. Who doesn't want that? Fewer health issues. Well documented around self-care. Better resilience, more energy. The better ability to regulate your emotions. That's a big one for me. I'm a feeler. And so as a feeling type, I take a lot of people's emotions on without trying to. And, I empath a lot, which is a wonderful gift and a strong benefit, but it can overwhelm me a lot if I'm not conscious that I'm taking on other people's emotions or getting stuck in my own, ruminating. I have a tendency towards rumination. And so emotional regulation, self-care, taking a walk can break that cycle for me. Reading a book, talking with a friend. Higher self-confidence, because it turns out when you treat yourself better, you like yourself better. So hear that again. If you treat yourself better, you like yourself better. You don't need to live in guilt and shame. I know many parents who do. Addiction and their substance use disorder is not your fault. It's their responsibility. but it's also your responsibility to take care of yourself on that side of the fence. Okay. And last but not least, greater life satisfaction. So life is just better overall. So why don't we do it? If we know that self-care is good for us, some of you may be thinking, yeah, so what? I don't have time for it, or I can never do, feel so bad. Or maybe it just seems weak, or, not yet. So, and I just listed each of the 4 bullet points there. And really, if we're not practicing fully engaged with our life, because if you're really paying attention to your life, you're going to respond to what it needs, just like you would your loved one. If you're willing and able to be there for your son or daughter or other loved one who's in addiction, who's suffering, then you have every right to be there for yourself in the same way. That's just one way of describing love and compassion. You deserve it too. So, feel too busy? We're all busy, but there's ways that you can prioritize self-care. And it actually becomes enjoyable once you pass that threshold of understanding that actually it doesn't take away from what you do, but actually you get better at doing it. You have more time. You have more space in your time. You're not as rushed as often. So one great reason to practice self-care is to feel less busy. Too selfish. I could never do that for myself. It's too decadent. Well, self-care isn't just, it can be, but it's not just bubble baths and ice cream and spa days, whatever else you might think it is. It's many, many different behaviors. It's really just about having a better relationship with yourself. And as a result, having better relationships with everyone else in your life. The better you are at taking care of yourself, the more you're going to learn about what others' needs really are and how you can be effective in helping them to meet those needs, especially as you ask them what their needs are. So not too selfish. It's actually something that you need to do. Too soft. This is for a lot of the men and some of the women. But as a male, I can tell you, I run my own business, and I learned what self-care was all about 5 years ago. I burned out from jobs before, but man, I wasn't going to burn out from this job because I love it. But I was burning out. And it's because I was trying to do too much and just keep burning the midnight oil. And there's a time to grind, and there's a time to step away from the grind and take care of yourself. And it's not soft. And so the more that I take care of myself, the stronger I can be, the better I can serve others, the more confident I can be, and the greater resilience I have for facing adversity. Last, too soon. You know what? I don't need to practice self-care right now. I can wait till another day. Well, really, especially if you're suffering or struggling or have nothing better to do. It's a perfect time to practice self-care so that others don't have to start taking care of you for you in the form of doctors, hospitals, and other care providers. Okay, so there's some proactive things you can do to take care of yourself. So now's a perfect time. Okay, we are going to try to move forward. So right now, I just want to hover on this. Just like on a plane, you need to put on your own oxygen mask first before trying to help others. So that's your reason for practicing self-care. I'm going to take the next 5 minutes. There's only 5 steps to this plan. It's very simple, but I'd like to invite you to participate in this right now. And really write this out or tap it into your phone or your device on your computer, whatever you've got there, and get started. Or if you're already started, then you can take it to the next level. Oop, I keep pushing on things here. Let me get back. Okay, 5 steps. Step 1, make a commitment to take care of yourself. No one can do this for you. You're the only one that can really decide to take care of yourself. You're worth it. It's not selfish or soft. Plus, you're going to have less stress, more energy, and you're going to be better. As the quote says by Parker Palmer, love him, author of Let Your Life Speak and other works. He says, self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good. It's the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer to others. You are the gift that was put on earth to be offered to others. That's the way I view myself today. most of the time, right? So self-care is just good stewardship. Make a commitment. You can write this down. My self-care commitment is to exercise regularly, eat healthy, read a book. Okay, make it your own. You can write me for more details if you want more examples. Okay, I'm having trouble engaging with this. Step 2, prioritize self-care goals around the 5 domains of life. First things first. That's what this means. In recovery, we learn about putting first things first. And that means just know what matters most to you. What's most important? It could be the physical domain or mental, emotional, spiritual, or social. Whichever it is, here's 3 guiding questions to help you decide. And I suggest just start with 1 or 2 domains, maybe 3. What do you need most? What do you need most? Ask yourself questions. What have you missed the most? What have you been missing? Maybe that's where you start. And third, what do you want to do the most? You've been wanting to do this thing and you haven't done it. Okay. So what do you need most? What have you missed most? What do you want to do most? And start there. Start where you're at. It doesn't have to be over the top. Make these doable goals. We're looking for progress, not perfection. So just list 1 to 2, maybe 3 domains. That's all you're doing. Physical, mental, emotional, whatever they are, just those words. Okay. Once you have that, then get specific, and you'll see that step coming up, step 3. But these are some examples of self-care. These are specific goals. In the physical, get regular sleep, take lunch breaks, rest, exercise. You can take a screenshot of this picture or ask me for a copy. I'd be glad to send it to you. Mental, read for fun, say no more often. Could do an entire separate talk on saying no and what that means and what it means for you. Emotional, practice gratitude, learn about your feelings, men and women. That's one thing that I spent a lot of time with. I could know other people's emotions, but I didn't have self-knowledge about my own. I spent a lot of time in that. It's been very valuable. Anything greater than yourself. So whether or not you're religious, meditate, spend time outdoors, volunteer, attend a religious service or a community event. You can check that off your box right now because you're at a Parents Helping Parents meeting. Way to go. Plus, you hit the social component. Spend quality time with friends, develop your communication skills, host a party, like a virtual party, people watch or attend a concert. Lots of ideas there. Okay, so this is step 3, schedule it and be specific. Whatever your goals are in each of those domains, say exactly what they are. I'm going to work out twice a week for 20 minutes at home, and I'm going to put it on my calendar for this day and this time. Okay, get as specific as you can. That's going to help you to frame it in your mind, and your brain is going to chew on it and work on it and help you to accomplish that goal better the more specific you can be. So plan like a boss. Step 4, simple, maybe the hardest one, do it. You've come this far. You've thought about your goals. You've made this plan. You're looking at ways to implement your plan. So now the idea is to stop thinking and start doing. So really put those goals to work for yourself. Read that book. Take that walk around the block. Have a fun night with your spouse. Maybe, it's a good time to get closer to one another. Talk about your interests. Maybe you've spent a lot of time not catching up. It's a really good time to do that and make it happen. Whatever your goals are, make it happen and do it. Last, in order to bookend these steps, back to the commitment step of step 1, stay accountable. Accountability is the glue that ties commitment to the results. Get an accountability partner. That can be, I don't suggest your spouse. Some people can do that in their relationship or your partner. I suggest a friend, and maybe somebody that you don't know as well, a mentor, a friend, somebody from church, a colleague, that they can be more objective and help you to stay accountable. Tell them what you're doing. Ask them to be your accountability partner. Talk with them weekly about how it's going, and then celebrate your success. And of course, get honest about the times that you fall short and the way that you want to stay on track. Okay, so that's your simple self-care plan. The benefits we've talked about. I really encourage you, parents and others watching, do practice self-care. It's not just for you, But for everyone that you love and take care of, they're going to benefit greatly from the time and energy you spend living a better. To find out more about me, my information's there. Again, my name's Charles Gosset. I'm a professional certified coach. Fullintegrationcoaching.com. Hit me up on social media at Full Integration Coaching. To live on purpose, start living yours today.
All right, man. I assumed I timed that just right? That was like the I didn't know if maybe you had an encore or anything.
That's it.
Man, good stuff from Mr. Charles. A very wise dude and quickly becoming a good friend of mine. So I know this is a pain and I'm sorry, but hopefully everybody understands why we do it. And that's to protect people's anonymity and make sure that they can ask questions and really dig into discussion, and it's not live streamed on Facebook for the whole world to see. So I have commented the Zoom ID on the Facebook feed and password, and I've commented the next Zoom ID and password in the current Zoom webinar that I'm in now. So as soon as this meeting closes in like 10 seconds, click over to that other one and I will see, or me and Charles both will see everybody there. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you join us again 2 weeks from tonight. Actually, that's not true. It's not 2 weeks from tonight. It's 3 weeks from tonight because it's the first Monday in July because there's an extra week here in June. Yay! Hopefully that means everybody gets an extra paycheck this month. All right. Good to see everybody. We will see you in the other Zoom room here momentarily.